Hey, Bruce Naylor here, and it's time for another episode of Talking Microsoft, the show about all things Redmond. And I notice I am wearing a Band-Aid in this episode. This is the episode that almost didn't get made because of just all kinds of technical glitches. You name it. If it could go wrong, it did go wrong. But by golly, whether I get punched in the eye by my wife or whether a microphone doesn't work, I'm going to give you this installment of Windows 10. So let's get started. Big fan of Windows 10, as you know, and they just released the Windows 10 anniversary update. Now you're probably wondering, what can I do with the Windows 10 after the anniversary update? Well, here are a list of 12 things you can do now. Okay, and starting at number 1, switch to the dark theme. I personally, when I switched over to the dark theme, my computer froze up tight as a drum. Could not do a thing with it, totally unresponsive, and I had to do a force or a hard restart of the computer. Number 2, log into your apps with your face. Okay. Number 3, control music playback from the lock screen. Kind of interesting. I personally don't really would make use of that feature. You might, however. I hate when websites do this. They break things up into multiple pages so they can show you more ads. Number 4, use Cortana from the lock screen. Again, a feature I may or may not use. I probably should. Number 5, run extensions in Microsoft Edge. I don't use Edge. I really want to hear from you in the community. How many of you use Edge and like Edge and see that as a viable browser? Maybe give up Firefox or Chrome in order to use Edge. I'd like to know. Number 5, also related to Edge, which is translate text and pin tabs in Microsoft Edge. Number 7, send directions to your phone. Number 8, get Android alerts on Windows 10. Very, very cool. And let's go to the final batch here. Prioritize app notifications. I personally try to disable the notifications on apps as I don't need that kind of interruption at work. I really don't care that, somebody tagged me in a post on Facebook when I'm trying to close a deal, right? Number 10, make better use of your stylus. Obviously, this has got to do with touch-based devices such as Surface, etc. Number 11, tell Windows when you don't want any expected restarts. Now, that is a good one right there. And number 12, pin Windows and programs to every virtual desktop. Are you making, by the way, are you folks making use of virtual desktops in Windows? Let me know down below. Let me know about that. So a while back, I did a video talking about how Microsoft was planning on ending support for Windows 7, Windows 8.1 on machines equipped with Skylake CPUs. That was scheduled to occur next year on the 17th of July, 2017. However, earlier this week, Microsoft announced, see that headline right there? Microsoft makes massive U-turn. There you go. They announced that they are pushing the date out further and will support Windows 7, which is now ending on the 14th of January, 2020, while support for Windows 8.1 has been extended by 4.5 years to January 14th, 2023. Microsoft is saying, you know what, we kind of thought we'd have 1 billion devices running Windows 10 within 3 years. That didn't really happen. Now they're pushing that date back, and there's been a lot of pushback on the enterprise and small businesses saying, look, we're not ready to migrate to Windows 10. And when we get new hardware, we want to be able to use the latest CPUs. Microsoft is not digging in their heels this time, folks. They're relenting and saying, fine, we'll continue to support Skylake CPUs or newer on Windows for the foreseeable future. So good news on that. According to LearnBonds.com, an article says that Microsoft Surface is cannibalizing Apple iPad sales. In all fairness, I cannot really easily locate any supporting data of this. It's apparently an op-ed piece on this website. However, that being the case, it does stand to reason that the Surface Pro would be a more attractive alternative to the iPad Pro. I think it's a much more useful device, and certainly, all things being equal, I think your money's better spent that way. So I couldn't actually find any hardcore evidence to support this. However, there is the fact of the matter, the Surface Book, for example, was sold out as of February of this year. It would not surprise me, however, that the Surface and the Surface Pro and the Surface Book isn't definitely. I mean, come on, there's just common sense, I think, would tell you that a number of people are finding those very attractive and would do so over an iPad Pro. iPad Pro is a device I just don't get, folks. I just don't really understand it. I don't understand its purpose. To me, it's just an overgrown iPad. That's all it is. You know, where the Surface Pro is a desktop PC in a tablet form factor. Microsoft just demonstrated why Apple was right to stand up to the FBI. This was written by Ben Lovejoy and appears in 9 to 5 Mac. If you recall the big brouhaha after the terrorist attack in California, the FBI wanted to decrypt and get into the iPhone of one of the terrorists. Apple has been very adamant about no backdoors, no golden keys to the kingdom, if you will. They felt that ultimately, if they had such a tool, sooner or later it would get out into the wild and be a problem. Well, Microsoft recently unintentionally released golden keys to unlock secure boot on certain devices. Now, they claim that desktops running Windows 10, for example, or Windows, it's not an issue. However, such things that run secure boot, such as phones and tablets, are susceptible. Now, Microsoft has indeed released a few patches, but it is going to be impossible to fully patch older devices because then they would break things like installers, etc. on it. Very, very interesting. The very thing, this is what the point of this is, the very thing that Apple said could happen did indeed happen to Microsoft. They're left with egg on their face on that. The idea of a golden key to unlock the backdoor stuff on products, obviously they can end up in the wrong hands, and if they do, they can do an insane amount of damage. Not a good thing for Microsoft, nor is there an easy fix coming up for this. If you're not familiar with Secure Boot, essentially uses what's called UEFI, which is a alternate BIOS, and it essentially does not allow unauthorized operating systems or applications to load on the computer. There's been a lot of people who have some very interesting discussions about Secure Boot, but Microsoft screwed up and it got out in the wild, the golden keys. Did Microsoft steal MS-DOS? Inside a strange tech urban legend. So this is something I've heard from years and years and years. Always, I won't say tinfoil hat wearers out there, but it's a number of people that truly believe that Microsoft was founded on stolen IP and that they are an illegitimate company because they did steal the original product. Well, not their original product, but what really took them to the dance, which was their licensing deal with IBM for MS-DOS. Look, here's the bottom line. This article dispels beyond any reasonable doubt that Microsoft did indeed steal MS-DOS. In fact, what had happened originally, there was a Tim Patterson, who had a small computer company in California. People didn't want to buy PCs without an operating system, so the other choice was CPM, control program / monitor. I thought it stood for control program for microcomputers, but regardless, Microsoft bought, so Tim Patterson wrote his own operating system to sell with his computers called QDOS, which stood for Quick and Dirty Operating System. Bill Gates has basically swung a deal with Microsoft. He found QDOS, bought it, and brought Tim Patterson on board to, do the fit and finish on it, which would ultimately become MS-DOS. And Bill Gates was very, very smart by licensing it to IBM rather than selling them outright to them. And furthermore, for the last, say, 40 years, I forget their title, but they do software forensics, has tried every which way but Sunday to find any connection between QDOS and MS-DOS. Now, supposedly, there was long rumored a secret command within CPM called the Kildall command, which Gary Kildall was the copyright holder of CPM. They have never found it. It's just not there in all the code. Now, there's certain system calls that are identical, but remember, there's only certain ways to do certain things, and that's it, or it won't work. That's about where the similarity between QDOS and MS-DOS and CPM ends up. The bottom line is, this is a good read, that Microsoft did not steal CPM or steal QDOS. They paid for it, and then they hired Tim Patterson, and no, it is something written by Tim Patterson. It's a very interesting article. As always, the links will be down below in the description. So yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting and wanted to share that with you. Microsoft confirms some PCs are freezing up with the Windows 10 anniversary update. So here's the dealio on this. If you have some applications installed on another drive, maybe like my scenario, I've got an SSD, my C drive, which is my boot drive, and then I've got like a 2 terabyte regular hard drive, mechanical hard drive. Now, what some people do, because they get really super skinny SSDs, because a lot of computers out there got a small amount of storage, they'll install applications on that 2 terabyte drive or whatever. And apparently, if you've installed applications on that other drive, may experience freezing in Windows 10. The idea is, and what is the solution to the problem? The solution is that you can work around this issue by setting into Windows 10 and using safe mode to move your apps and data to the same drive as your operating system. And they ask for your patience while that's being investigated. Microsoft also notes that users who don't want to wait for a fix can also downgrade their previous Windows version, but emphasizes that this option is valid for first 10 days after you install the anniversary update. Rumor mill. Let me qualify this. Got called out on this before. This is a rumor not confirmed by Microsoft. However, according to the sleuths at Windows Central, they claim Microsoft is working on a all-in-one PC. In fact, 3 different prototypes, one being a 21-inch with a 1080p resolution, a 24-inch with a 4K, and a 27-inch with a 4K. The writer of this article, Sean Knight, feels the 24 inches is too small for a 4K display. I would probably tend to concur with that. I think 27 is probably about as low as I would comfortably want to go. My question to you is this. What do you think about a Surface all-in-one PC? Obviously, many people, I think the first thing, obvious thing people are going to say, this is an iMac killer. Probably not. I think people buy iMacs, and I think that they come out with a Surface all-in-one. Yeah, Apple might lose some Mac sales to that, but these are people I think more dedicated to Windows platform. I could be wrong. I'm sure it's going to be a beautiful machine, but I personally have never really felt an appeal for all-in-ones. I'm more of a traditional desktop kind of guy with a display of my choosing. With a display of my choosing, the components that I want in my machine, that's what I'm interested in. I've just never seen the appeal for an all-in-one PC. Okay, according to Network World, Microsoft is pledging 2 Windows 10 upgrades in 2017. Now, they delivered just recently build number 1607, known as the anniversary update. These are feature upgrades, so 2 in 2017, where we only had 1 in 2016. It's big news for the fact that the development team's release tempo has been in a state of flux for over a year now. And a number of sources believe Microsoft can't really pull this off. So we will see. Analysts have said that they're uncertain that the schedule could be a fallout from the radical release model. I should say the word is model. And that trying to do multiple upgrades every year, a minimum, was the development team was struggling to adapt. A person by the name of Mr. Mercer at Microsoft goes on to state, attributed 2016 one and only upgrade to corporate customers' wishes. So there you have it. 2, count them 2, feature updates in 2017 coming to Windows 10. These are the best universal Windows 10 apps that need to come to Xbox One, according to WindowsCentral.com. Now, there's an explanation in the article about what universal Windows platform applications are. Very nice graph, but I'll just bottom line it for you. This is a way to easily take a binary and have it run on whether it's a phone, an Xbox, your PC, a Surface, with certain APIs that can enhance the experience on particular hardware. Ultimately, the idea is for developers to be able to write an app once and run it on many different platforms as long as it's capable of running Windows 10 on its core. So that's the bottom line. So there you have it. So these are the applications that, according to Windows Central, these should be on your Xbox One. This is what they believe. Number one, Read It, which is a Reddit browser, Reddit client. Number two, MyTube for YouTube. I actually used that on a Windows tablet. It is excellent. Number three, VLC player. Now said, everybody loves VLC. I don't know anybody that doesn't like VLC. Number four, remote desktop. Number five, Duolingo. Number six, basic Twitter applications. Number seven, good God, Skype. I freaking hate Skype. I use it, but I hate it. It's just, if anybody can tell me how to keep every time I open Skype, I have all these stupid contact requests, which I know were all, Nigerian scammers or whatever. Unlisting yourself, that doesn't help. They still are there. There doesn't seem, you got to go one by one. And it's just a horrid app. God, I loathe Skype. I loathe it. But many people depend on it every day. Number 8, Spotify Spoticast for Spotify. Number 9, Unstream. Unstream is for watching Twitch streams and so forth. Number 10, of course, Windows Central. So there's a list of unified Windows universal applications that they would like to see on there. Let's move on. This was a fun article. Let me kind of explain. Essentially, I'll pose this to you folks in the audience. How do you feel about running Microsoft products in a Linux environment? I'm not talking about using things like Vine or whatever. I'm talking about Microsoft actually developing a native version of, say, Office for Linux. How do you feel about it? Well, so Cool Nerd went and they talked to different groups. They actually categorize Linux users into free software advocates, what they call elephants, foot voters, enthusiasts, and agnostics. And they posed that question. And it's very interesting, the responses they got back. So the free software advocates, just what they say, they're all about getting and providing free software. Here's their concerns. There might be too many backdoors or features that monitor the user's online or offline activities. Very suspicious of Microsoft. There can be features that siphon user-sensitive data back to the company server. Again, Microsoft is notorious for doing that sort of thing right now. There could be software vulnerabilities that only the company knows and can fix, so other open source developers couldn't fix those vulnerabilities. The company may revoke access to the software through a kill switch. Maybe a subscription base. You don't pay the subscription, you don't get the software. And since there's only one vendor that develops and sells the software, there is vendor lock-in. So pretty much this is the antithesis of free software advocates. Let's talk about elephants. Elephants, these are people, they're long memories. They remember Steve Ballmer saying Linux is a cancer, and therefore they hate Microsoft. They hate the ugliness that Microsoft had for Linux, and there you have it. Now, foot voters, these are people who believe their actions matter. What they do, vote with your dollars, vote with your feet, whatever. And their approach to this is that once, if Linux users start using Microsoft products instead of their open source counterparts, it will affect the user base of such open source products in a bad way and would hurt open source community. Now, enthusiasts are more like, we really like Linux, we're happy with it, so forth. We probably would not have a problem paying for software that we use, but we don't really like paying for proprietary products. We're doing this for the fun, right? We're doing this for the fun. We're not really that interested in Microsoft products per se. And finally, agnostics. They're the ones who, hey, whatever tool does the job, and there you have it, and life is good. I would like to know, again, your opinion in the comment. Do you feel, not from a technical standpoint, but from a ethical, moral type standpoint, do you think it would be wrong for Microsoft to introduce products that run natively on Linux? I'd like to know. I want to hear your opinion in the comments down there. We wrap up this episode with this. Amazon recently bought Twitch. YouTube has their game streaming. Microsoft wants to get into this business in a big, big way. This is the genre of live streams that are produced huge stars, like PewDiePie and others out there, people watching others stream video games. Well, Microsoft just bought a company called Beam, B-E-A-M. Funny, I thought Casey Neistat's company's name Beam, but it's spelled different. But at any rate, they bought it for an undisclosed sum, and Microsoft is going to turn this over to the Xbox division. And so now they're going to offer Amazon and YouTube competition in the streaming game business. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thing to share with you. This acquisition now makes Microsoft a player in live streaming gameplay, and I would assume that there'll be some very easy hooks within the Xbox applications to stream your games on this new platform. I don't know if they'll make it more difficult to stream to Twitch or what have you, but there you have it. And that wraps up this week's installment, well, I should say this episode of Talking Microsoft. I look forward to your comments down below. Take care, everybody.